And, we don't just get them there and leave them. We stay with them. So our volunteers are going to be with them, providing the business coaching that they need in order to continue being successful in managing their business. And we don't stop there either. Remember, there's two things that are happening. They're making money and making disciples in this least reach marketplace. So we're not only going to help them on the business side, we help them on the missional side as well.
Mm-hmm.
So there's going to be another dedicated volunteer that is going to be helping them personally be healthy, making sure their family is healthy, and making sure that they are implementing their plan to make disciples in that least reach marketplace.
So to the Business is Mission podcast. I am here with I was just describing him. We were praying together before we started, kind of my new old new brother. I don't know, but I've just gotten to know Herbert and Herbert Severin of MDE, and it's just been fun. The first conversation we had was high energy. He's a ball of fire, full of passion, and we're just looking forward to hearing your story. So, Herbert, first of all, thank you, brother, for being on the podcast with us.
Thank you, Mike. It's a super delight to be here. I've been looking forward to today and excited about our conversation today.
So let me set this up, and I'm going to let you tell your story. But Herbert is the brand new, a matter of weeks, I guess, maybe months, CEO of MDE, Marketplace and Development Enterprises. One of his team members reached out to me, who I've known through BAM Global for quite some time, and said, "Hey, you really need to meet Herbert. And I really think you want to have him on the podcast." So we met, and I thought, yes, I do. And so here he is. And so, Herbert, just to begin with, because for a lot of people in the BAM space, surprisingly, they've seen MDE, they've seen the logo, but I've met very few that actually seem to be crystal clear on what you guys do.
Yeah.
So let's just give us a little snapshot of MDE, Marketplace and Development Enterprises. Who are you guys? And in a big picture, what do you do? And we're going to dig into some things that you were just sharing with me, but just that quick, here's the headline, guys. Here's MDE in a nutshell.
Yeah. So just briefly, we're a nonprofit. We support BAMers as a professional services firm. And as a professional services firm, we provide BAMers, and not just BAMers, also people taking jobs in least reach marketplaces. We call them DMEs, disciple making employees. So BAMers and DMEs, we provide them the professional services that they need to get to those locations and to be in those locations so that they're successful, making money and making disciples in those least reached marketplaces.
I hope everybody's catching that. This is such a critical thing because one of the working groups I've joined recently within the world of BAM Global is what we call BAMer Care. And we're discovering that a lot of people, if they're able to get out, are having real personal struggles, life struggles. And so what I've begun to discover, and it's really encouraging to see it, and to begin to discover a lot of resources that God has been raising up to surround, and as you say, BAMers, and then the DME, the those who are, I always say, how to do business is mission when you're not the boss, right? The BAM employees are these folks too. And so you guys are really covering the gamut. Where were you before, Herbert? We're going to concentrate on where you are now and where you're going, but just for people to get to know you a little bit, where were you before and how did you end up in this new role?
Yeah, so I'll give you a little bit of history to answer your question, Mike. I started my career in church ministry. You went to Bible college and got a job in a church and credentialed and was very excited about that, about the call that God had placed on my life. I expected to spend my life there, but felt like the Lord was saying to me at one period that I needed to resign my position. Didn't have anywhere to go, didn't have a reason. Things were going fine. So I did, and then started looking for another church position, and nothing opened up. So I needed a job, and unbeknownst to me, that was my transition from church ministry to to marketplace ministry.
Mm-hmm.
Few years went by. My wife came to me one day and she said, "You don't seem to be passionate about anything." Well, and it made me mad. I don't have any other way to describe it. It made me mad. And I think it must have been a weekend, because I was just thinking, I'm just a guy doing my thing. We had little kids and she was a stay-at-home mom and the house, and she has 100 pairs of shoes and I got to support that too. So I'm thinking, I'm just a guy doing my thing. What is there to be passionate about? But I couldn't get it off of my mind.
Mm.
So I went into the next year with an extended period of fasting and prayer, and I just needed to hear from God. What do you want to do with my life? I had continued to look for church positions. Nothing ever opened up. I continued to do better and better in business. So I was confused. So I came out of that period with really being very clear that the Lord had spoken to me again and he had shifted my call. And he told me he wanted me to be his minister in the marketplace. So from there, I just with breakneck speed, just focused and pursued positions of leadership because I knew that the Lord wanted me to be his light in the most senior position within an organization. So pursued positions of greater responsibility, which took me eventually to being vice president within a company, executive vice president, president of an organization, CEO of a company, and then finally selected to be CEO of MDE.
You know what? I got to be careful not to camp on everything you say because I can resonate so much with what you just shared. We shared before. I was a pastor
Yes.
for 15 years. The Lord clearly led me out, went through a period of time, about 10 years of just being what I call the faithful layman.
Hmm.
And then he began to lead me into what has become business as mission. And same thing. I'm like, wow. So when I hear you, I think, and I'm hearing this so much. I've got a really close friend from Australia, but now lives here in the United States. And he said the Lord spoke to him one time in business and said, I want you to build my church in the marketplace. And today, that's not so strange. But when he heard that message, it's like, that's really weird. But what you just described, same thing, making disciples in the marketplace and more and more and more, but whether it's in the United States where you and I both live or in the farthest reaches where we try to work, this is happening everywhere. And it is truly a global movement. All right. So when you look at this, there's so many things. I want you to describe in more detail for me, if you will, what we were talking about just before the call started about just everything you do, this sort of soup to nuts. If you're called to make disciples in the marketplace as a CEO, a founder, or as an employee, we're here for you. It's kind of the tagline, right? But
Yeah.
give us some specifics, Herbert, about what that currently looks like, and then I'm going to come around to where are you taking this, right? You're the captain of the ship, so captain, where are we going? But let's start with just kind of that menu. Give us some more detail on that.
Yeah, so many ways I could answer that question, but I'll do my best to keep it brief for you, Mike. So we deliver all of our services through a suite or a large group, if you will, between 150 and 200 volunteers. And the reason we work with volunteers is because when working with volunteers, we don't have to specify, okay, we need someone on our team in this industry and in this industry. We can choose them all. So there's a believer out there who just says, I've got 20, 30 years of this business experience. What can I do with this to build God's kingdom? Got a place for you. You can use that as a volunteer in helping our client members at MDE. So the services that we provide are going to be both deep and wide. So the depth is going to be tailored specifically to a business. As an example, let's say that there's an entrepreneur who wants to build an IT services firm in some least reach country, and they have an idea for how they're going to do that in a unique manner. Great. Then they think, now what do I do? Well,
Hmm.
we can answer that question. So we'll match them with one of our volunteers who is an experienced executive, an entrepreneur, having been very successful building an IT services firm. And they'll help them understand, here are all of the things that you need to do to build that IT services firm. Well, that's great, but that may not specifically get them to the least reached marketplace where they feel called. So we'll switch them then to another volunteer who understands the ramifications of that move, be that on the legal side, be that on the accounting side, be that on the immigration side, be that on the tax side, etc. So we'll match them with volunteers and handle all of those things so that when landing, they can be successful making money and making disciples.
So let me pitch this back to you, make sure that I understand what you just said. I think I do. So one is they're the mechanics of starting a business, right? I want to start a particular kind of business, and we're going to match you with a mentor, a coach who will help you who knows that part of it, not necessarily the whole gamut, but if they have a heart to go overseas, which is obviously the function of MDE, and like so many in our circles, then there's somebody that knows that part, and I would say the mechanics of that too.
Yes.
As you say, the legal, the accounting, all those. It's not just getting a plane ticket and a visa, right? And so, and we hear that a lot from folks overseas that we're so ill prepared, but through no fault of their own, through no fault of anybody's. They just went kind of babes in the woods kind of deal, and they made it. Many of them made it, but they struggled in ways that probably you and I would agree wasn't necessary. You don't. It's hard enough. Don't make it harder than it already is.
Yeah.
We could take out some of that stuff away that makes it difficult. Am I getting this? This is correct.
You've nailed it there, Mike. Yeah, absolutely. We can take away those things that are difficult. And we don't just get them there and leave them. We stay with them. So our volunteers are going to be with them, providing the business coaching that they need in order to continue being successful in managing their business. And we don't stop there either. Remember, there's two things that are happening. They're making money and making disciples in this least reach marketplace. So we're not only going to help them on the business side, we help them on the missional side as well.
Mm-hmm.
So there's going to be another dedicated volunteer that is going to be helping them personally be healthy, making sure their family is healthy, and making sure that they are implementing their plan to make disciples in that least reach marketplace.
That's a beautiful, beautiful, simple description of what you guys are doing. So, Herbert, who are you looking for? Who is the right person to contact you from the I want to go? And I'm going to come back and ask the same question from the I want to help, because I know this. We can use this to recruit people to go and recruit people to serve those who are going. So,
Yeah.
What is the target? What's the kind of person that you're looking for?
Yeah. So, this can be someone early career, mid career, late career. It doesn't matter. So for the go, there should be a call. I know I'm in business. I sense in my heart that God is calling me to do something in another country in order to build his kingdom, and I want to use my business to do that. That's who we're looking for.
Okay.
That's the match.
And it just quick thought about that. There's so many out there that I always refer to them as sort of circling around the basket. They're hanging around the rim, waiting for something to open up. You may just be that open shot they need to take. And we'll come back before we get out of here. But tell us, how does somebody get in touch with you? Somebody's listening to this right now, and they're saying, "Oh man, I got to talk to these guys." How do they do that? And we'll put all this in the show notes. But if I'm a goer, a founder, and I've got the heart to go, or an employee that can go to an existing company, what do I do with you? Just send you a quick email. Hey, Herbert, help me, or what happens?
Yeah, so easy. We're easy to get a hold of. You can connect through us via social media, our Facebook page or LinkedIn. Easy to get a hold of us that way. We've got a team member who's monitoring those social media platforms. Of course, our website, buildmde.com. So
Okay.
very easy to get a hold of there. Send info to our contact us link on the website. We'll get back to you. Our team will get back to you quickly from that media also.
Hi, this is Mike again, and I want to just chat with you briefly about a new course available on Third Path Initiative MissionalMentors.com. Very, very excited about this course. It's called How to Raise Capital for Your Business's Mission Company. It is probably the single most in-demand course we've ever created, and it comes in a direct response to conversations and surveys we've done among our existing students. What do you most need? This was overwhelmingly the course that people wanted the most. They wanted to hear about, what do you do? It's the great challenge. And so this course it's very short, it's very simple, but it walks you through how to understand the capital markets, what you need to understand and be prepared for before you begin to seek funding, how to put together a pitch, who to go to, and how to manage that funding after you get it. And so we've brought together a panel of experts from people in the financial field, from people in the business's mission field, from people in entrepreneurial field. Very, very excited. And it is available now. It is live on thirdpathinitiative.com/all-courses. Check it out. I hope you'll enjoy it. We really enjoyed making it.
Oh, excellent. By the way, I know some of the folks on Herbert's team. They're nice people. So if you're out there thinking, oh, I'm going to get vetted like nobody's business, well, you will be, but it's going to be nice. It'll be very, very nice. They are nice people. All right. So Herbert, that's a goer. All right. A founder who's got a call. I don't know what to do next. Reach out, contact you guys. You begin to walk me through this process. How about this network, you said 120 or more volunteers, experienced. How does somebody? What are you looking for there?
Yeah.
And then how does that person contact you?
Yeah. So let me explain what we're looking for there in 3 areas, because I think it's important to understand each of those 3 areas for people to understand how they fit. So area number 1 is what we call a BAM team manager. They're a business generalist.
Okay.
Pretty much any type of business in any market, they can speak to it, but not in depth, because they've been an entrepreneur themselves, or a project manager who's bounced around in different industries, or consultant. They can pretty much handle any type of business. We're looking for them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They work on an ongoing basis with our client members every 4 weeks, 6 weeks, something like that. They're helping them establish goals, and then they provide the accountability to make sure that they're achieving those goals.
Huge point there, by the way. I'm not just talking at you, right? I am walking with you, and I'm going to hold you accountable.
Yes.
That's so important. So thank you for saying. I knew that was there, but I'm glad you said it. So
yeah. So that's going to be bucket number 1, if you will. Bucket number 2, we call faculty of advisors. So when the business need goes too deep for the BAM team manager, we're going to bring in someone from our faculty of advisors. That may be an expert in digital marketing, expert in supply chain, an expert in global tax, an expert in law, etc. So that's going to be somebody who is a subject matter expert who can go very, very deep with that client member on X topic. They come in 1 to 3 months, provide the help needed for that item, and then they're back out. That's bucket number 2.
Okay, so that's not a long-term, maybe a long-term commitment to MDE, but not necessarily to a founder somewhere. That's a month, 2 months, 3 months, 6. It's a term almost, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
Exactly. And then finally, bucket number 3, we call missional mentors. Missional mentors are going to be people who have a mature relationship with Christ. They may be a former pastor, they may be a former missionary, they may have been a deacon in a church, they may be a prayer warrior. There's someone who has depth in their relationship with Jesus. And they also know that they're skilled in holding people accountable from a personal perspective. They're able to say, okay, they're not afraid. Perhaps it's a mom, who's not afraid to look at someone and say, I don't believe you when you're telling me that you're feeling okay in X. Let's drill into that.
Mm-hmm.
And just drawing out of that client member the truth that they may have difficulty communicating to someone else about what's going on in their situation. And then, of course, also, as I mentioned, holding them accountable to making disciples. And that disciple making, they're going to be drilling in to holding them accountable and making disciples with their employees, with their customers, and with their vendors.
So this is kind of a form of life care, right? Like member care, like a mission agency would have. That's a huge need in the BAM world, where most of the folks we know are not allied or seconded to an agency, so they don't have that. They don't have the business expertise, maybe some of that, but they don't have that third component, that missional expertise that you were just describing. And particularly, not only how do you make disciples in the marketplace, in the workplace, because it looks different in different countries, different settings, but how are you doing? And not a I'm fine, but a real in-depth. I love that you're going there, because that, as we were talking earlier, is such a huge need. So Herbert, how do you vet these folks, these volunteers? Because if your experience in the church is anything like mine, we used to say a committee is a group of the unfit doing the unnecessary, appointed by the unwilling. So there's this massive, qualification deficit in most volunteer situations. So how does MDE address that? Because I know you do, but how do you do it?
Yeah, so we do have an application process. So there is a screening, if you will, battery of screening that our volunteers in each of those three buckets do go through. Our team are a group of people who have served in foreign missions themselves. So they hired people in their missions roles. So they understand from a professional and a spiritual perspective what it is we're looking for, and that's embedded in the application process. So the application process does also include a referral that are a group of referrals. So those are going to be people who can really speak to the individual's relationship with the Lord. There's a pastoral piece in that recommendation battery as well. So we're pulling all of those pieces together to make sure that we're providing people who are going to deliver the necessary value for our client member in the field.
I love that you're doing it, and I really appreciate you saying that. Because, and I'm not surprised at all. I'm very pleased, because I've seen in one of the things that spilled over from, I'll call it church world, into the BAM world, is this idea that anybody that raises their hand can go. It's like,
Yeah.
no. You wouldn't run a business like that. Why would you run a business as mission company like that, where you end up with people who, for whatever reason, should not be there, aren't ready to be there, aren't qualified to be there, whatever the issue is. So, I'm really happy to hear you talk about it. I want to encourage this. I want to put a pin in this for our listeners to look at their groups and ask, are you guys having the same, not even the same, I would actually go and say higher standards for those who serve in a business as mission company, or the support mechanisms around it, than you would have for a normal company or a quote normal ministry.
Yeah.
So you guys are doing it, and it's such an important point. So all right, so Herbert, you joined in. I get this. I don't want to put you on the spot, but what was it that attracted you to this? I can see already what attracted them to you, but you were searching. This comes along, and obviously it touched you in a powerful way. Quick note: if you guys remember, Herbert said his wife came to him and said, "You're not passionate about anything." Well, that's no longer true. you are passionate, my brother. So I look at this and say, okay, what was it about this that really captured your heart?
Yeah, so you mentioned I was looking. I was after leaving the asphalt paving company. I was doing some consulting for small firms, growth consulting, and I missed being inside of an enterprise. So I was looking for an opportunity to get back in. When I saw MDE and learned what MDE does, it was clear to me that this was an opportunity to lead an organization that is built on the convergence of those things that are important to me: making disciples in the marketplace and business, building, thriving, profitable, successful businesses. So an opportunity to lead a business and yes, MDE is we're a Christian ministry, but I refer to us as a business because what we do is
Sure,
business.
sure. Yeah.
Business to business, doing kingdom business. That's us. So when I saw the convergence opportunity there, um, I was ready to run.
Didn't take long to convince you, right?
It did.
So just to clarify, you are the second CEO, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
so so I'm going to put you on the spot, but in a good way.
Okay.
Um, so many second CEOs, you know where I'm going,
I
right?
know exactly
Yeah,
where you're
yeah,
going, Mike.
that struggle with taking over from the founder. Some of
Yeah.
that's the founder not wanting to let go. A lot of reasons for a lot of history.
Mhm.
You clearly have not had much issue with that. How did you? I guess I could ask you, what did you struggle with? But more importantly, how did you step in to this second CEO role, continuing the legacy
Mhm.
in such a successful way and such a quick way? This is not you're not like months and months and months and months or years into trying to figure this out. You've come in and as I say, you've hit the lane running. So how did you do that? What was the challenge, and how did you get through it so quickly?
Yeah. So I think I need to clarify there, Mike, that it has nothing to do with me. It has everything to do with the founder. So my success, if you will, and I use that word for a lack of another one to
Yeah,
use, but
yeah.
my success, if you will, in that regard is 100% attributable to him. Um, he prepared the team. He prepared the board. He is taken his hands off and encouraged and allowed me to lead 100% on him.
So thank you for saying that. That is so right. And I think it's important. We're reaching the stage now. The modern business's mission movement has been around 35, 40 years. It's hitting that, and the movement itself. Matsunaga would say the movement didn't really start taking shape until around 2002 or three. So it's only been in that sense a little over 20 years. The but we're beginning to see business as mission enterprises, companies changing leadership. This transition is now happening. It wasn't happening for the long time. For the longest time, the business as mission community were all founders, and we're starting to run into what you just said, right? That the founders are, for whatever reason, are having to let go. They're having to turn it over. Thank God that your founder did it well. And maybe we'll get him on here, and maybe the two of you, and we'll talk through how did that work. Because I do think we're hitting an inflection point in the movement where not only are we seeing, of course, new players enter all the time, but we are seeing the second generation business ownership come on. And that even in the United States, the number of companies that don't survive past one generation, the number of companies that don't survive past two or three, this is a big, big issue, and you guys have figured it out. So you say he prepped the board, and what did he do? And thank you. I appreciate that you give him the credit, and I think that obviously that's wise and it's fair. But what did he do specifically that you say, you know what, when my time comes,
Mhm.
that's what I'm going to do?
Yeah. So first, I think that what he did was to give the team time. So his transition ultimately, I'd say, has been 3 or 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
So step number one for MDE was, okay, board, I need to take, as the founder, Mark Canada, saying, I need to start stepping back. You need to step up and bring in a chief operating officer. And they did. They brought in a strong chief operating officer. That chief operating officer had 2.5 years of runway. Then he went back to the board and said, okay, our COO has had 2.5 years, whatever it was, of runway. Now it's time for me to step out entirely. And I am going to step out entirely. He said, you have this much time. I'm going to be done, which he did with the chief operating officer as well. So they began the search. They brought me in, and that has really helped to facilitate the transition. I facilitate direct relationships with the board members. So our founder continues as the chairman of the organization. He's chairman of the board, but I
Mm-hmm.
don't communicate to the board through him. I communicate to him directly. I communicate to the board members directly. So I have a relationship with them. Um, Mike, an item that I do think is key here and appropriate for any organization is that I looked at before joining MDE. I looked at what MDE does and concluded, okay, I can be passionate about that. If nothing changes, and of course things are going to change, but if nothing changes, I can be passionate about that. So I was able to say to the team, I was able to say to the board, I say to our client members, and I say to our volunteers, while things will change, the boundary stone is not
Mm-hmm.
moving.
Mm-hmm.
Under my leadership, the core of why MDE was founded will not change. We're making money and making disciples in the least reached marketplaces in the world.
And I'm really glad you said that. That's such an important point. I mean, I know a lot of people, and MD was not in trouble. Kudos to the founder for taking, as you say, 3 or 4 years to engineer, not just to accomplish, but to engineer and plan and execute a very healthy transition. That's huge. And MD, and that says a lot about him, but also about the organization. And so they didn't hire you to come in and fix it. They hired you to come in and lead it, and you've obviously bought in 1,000% to the history and to the purpose, to the mission. That's so important. So many, just in general, my consulting practice over the years, I've seen so many new leaders come in, and they can't wait to change everything.
Mm.
Well, they didn't hire you to change everything, but they did hire you to take it to the next place.
Yeah.
So let's turn the corner and go there for just a little bit. Where do you see this? And I know it's early, so I may have to ask you a year from now or 2 years from now. I know you're not gonna stay connected, but where do you right now see yourself in terms of priorities, in terms of direction, continuing this legacy,
Yeah.
continuing this very, very effective ministry and business model? Uh, where's God leading you, brother?
Yeah, Mike, one of the things that we need to do is to create more spaces for more people to do business as missions, to be in those least reached marketplaces, making money and making disciples. So, will that be connecting with, capturing more people who sense that call? Yes, we're looking for ways to do that, but also we believe that there's a group of people who would go if there was a place for them to go. They would
Mm-hmm.
take the
Mm-hmm.
leadership position in a company if there was a company for them to lead. So we want to find, and the terminology that I'm learning is used for that is BAM in a box. So that BAM in a box franchise concept type of repeatable, scalable model is those are things that we're looking for. We're zeroing in on. We're going to do so that early, mid-career, late-career leader who can really do this thing and do this thing well has a place for us to be able to say, okay, yeah, we've got a COO position in X, we have a CEO position in Y, we have an operations lead, etc. We've got these roles, and we can drop you in those places, and you can do what the Lord has called you to do.
Yeah. Wow. So it's interesting when you talk about the BAM in a box. My good friend Mats Tunahag has been using that term for probably 15 years, trying to find a franchise is the right word, a franchisable, a replicable system business concept that you don't have to start from scratch. You can assemble the pieces and save a lot of time, which is a great argument in favor of franchising in general. Do you have anything like that on the drawing board, or are you still that's generally where we're going, and I'll have more later. Film at 11. What do you have in your mind in that regard?
Yeah. Unfortunately, Mike, in this setting, I can't go into specific details there, but yeah, there are a couple of concepts that we're working on in that regard. And if there are people listening and they'd like to participate financially in helping us make these things happen, we'd welcome that partnership as well. But there's a startup concept that we are actively working on. There's a partner that we have in the least reached country that is operating this type of business, and we're working with them closely to help them fix some problems that are in that organization, and then make it build it out in a manner that it will be an appropriate training ground for us to drop in a leader that we can then take the model that we've created there and put that in another place. The second
So
is I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, just for our listeners, guys, make note of that. That's known as a preview of coming attractions. So stay tuned, right? That's exciting, very exciting.
Yeah. We're also looking at a concept that we are looking at acquiring. And in acquiring that concept, it'll be our business. So we will need to drop a leader into that organization as well. And it is a type of business that is used in every major city across the world. So from a replicatable and scalable perspective, it meets those criteria, which are high on the list. When we're thinking about something to acquire. So those are things that are happening right now within MDE on my desk. That Lord providing, things go well in conversation, the finances come together, we will be in those places by the end of 2025.
Oh, fantastic. So this is not way out there. This is in the foreseeable future. Very
This is
exciting.
in the immediate future.
I love it. Very, very, very exciting stuff there. All right. So I always like to ask my guests to just kind of share a word of wisdom with the audience. But I'm going to ask you a little more specifically because you're not new to the world of business as mission, but you're new to this role and this level of engagement. What do you see in the greater movement that we should be concerned about and that encourages you?
Things to be concerned about, I would say, Mike, in the greater movement, and I'm more thinking of, in the field, BAMers in the field, is just making sure that they're connecting themselves with a support system.
Hmm.
The thing that I'm hearing most from our client members that they enjoy about their relationship with MDE is the level of accountability and the level of transparency that they're able to have. As well as I do, even just running a business in the United States, it's lonely at the top.
Mm-hmm.
So you go to the field and you add to that the cultural issues and the language issues. And, on top of all of the issues that you have in running a business, it's lonely at the top, and loneliness gets desolate.
Absolutely.
So, my encouragement would be to just seek out MDE or another organization, family member that you can be very transparent with, so that loneliness at the top is mitigated, because what you're doing in the field is critically important. It is kingdom value. So being healthy in that regard is super important.
As you're saying that, I keep coming back to something I've seen over the last 50 years almost in missions in general, but specifically in the world of business mission. The attrition rate in the first 5 years of an expat family going overseas to do anything, the attrition rate in 5 years is about 70%.
Wow.
It's staggering. Now, people don't publish those numbers. You don't go to the local mission agency website and say, "Yeah, we lost 7 out of 10 of our." They don't, and they're not hiding it, but it's real. And some places are better, some places are worse. But in general, the point being, the attrition rate is so high, and one of the reasons that we hear this is because they are alone. They are lonely. They are by themselves. Maybe not physically, but emotionally and spiritually, which is the enemy's tool, right? That's Elijah. I and only I am left. And God said, "Oh, contraire, my friend.
Right.
There are 7,000 of you."
Yes.
That is what I just heard you say, guys. Don't do it alone. You don't have to. There are plenty of people, brothers and sisters, who are willing to be a part of your life, walk with you, if you will plug in some way. And that to me is so, so powerful. The older I get, the more meaningful that kind of thing becomes. I can't wait to just see what you're going to be doing, what God's going to be doing through you and with your team. Herbert, thank you so much. Is there any last words you want? Something we didn't cover that you say, "Hey, Mike, you should ask me this," and you didn't. I don't want to miss my opportunity with you.
Well, not something we didn't cover, Mike, but an emphasis. If you sense that the Lord is calling you to participate in businesses' missions, it's not a crazy thought. It really can be God. This is
Amen.
not something that's outlandish, and pursue it. Pursue it with everything that you have. If you need help seeking that out, reach out to us. We'd be happy to help you in that regard, and to find yourself in a position where you are living your passion about making money and making disciples in least reach marketplaces.
Fantastic. And I'm not gonna steal your tagline, but I'm gonna use it. I'll give you credit. I love the making money, making disciples. It's so simple. And that's business's mission in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Herbert, thanks so much for being a part of this. Look forward to watching what God does in you and through MDE around the world.
Thank you, Mike. I really appreciate the time and appreciate what you're doing. This is important information to get out to BAMers. So thank you for what you're doing.
Appreciate you saying that.